Archie says it's
Steve, you got dinner on the table? Who's that? Oh, where are they playing? Oh, is it that time?
Well, Vanderbilt, and
Junior, you ready? Beer board meeting called to order, please. Roll call.
Councilman Gann.
Here.
Councilman McBride. Here. Councilman Harrell.
Here.
Councilman Stamey.
Here.
Councilman Hatmaker.
Here.
Councilman Farrell.
Here.
Mayor Burke.
Here. Do I hear a motion for the review and approval of minutes of previous meeting dated April 26, 2021?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Under new business, we have a request from Eagle Star One, Inc., DBA One Stop Market located at 463 North Main Street, Clinton. Owners are Mr. Patel and Mr. Patel from 101 East Wilbur Street, Bunker Hill, Illinois, for a Class B off-premise permit. Will you mind approaching the podium, please? You come to the podium? You can come too. Are you the other Patel? Okay, come on. So we're a little confused. We were talking before the meeting. Now, so are you buying the business?
Yes.
Yeah.
And when is that supposed to come to a close?
Should be next month.
Next month?
Next month we are
Okay.
closing.
So you're asking permission to have the
Beer
beer
permit.
on premise, okay. Let me ask for a motion, then we can ask any other questions if you'd like. Motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Motion is second. Any further discussion?
I mean, should we wait till next month to approve it, or? Go ahead and do it? Okay.
So how many stores do you all own?
We are 3 stores we have.
Okay. So what practices do you do in those stores as far as making sure you check IDs every time?
Yes,
Do you
we
have
are.
anything about cash
We got
register,
we got scanning too.
the scanning tool?
We are going to put in a new systems with the scanner ID and everything
Okay.
with the beer. If it's somebody buy the
Have
beer.
you ever been in trouble for selling to
No.
a minor?
No,
You wouldn't lie to me?
no. I'm
All right, just checking. I'm trying to trick you real quick. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you and welcome
thank
to
you.
Clinton.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Motion to adjourn the beer board meeting. Beer board meeting adjourned. Regular meeting called to order. Roll call, please.
Councilman Gann.
Here.
Councilman McBride.
Here.
Councilman Harrell.
Here.
Councilman Stamey.
Here.
Councilman Hatmaker.
Here.
Councilman Farrell.
Here.
Mayor Burke.
Here, did I need to do a public hearing first before so I kind of just opened the meeting
Well,
up.
that's public hearing.
This is a public hearing. Like to, covering ordinance number 661. This is for our current budget for 2021 and 2022. Is anyone here to speak on that? Speak now or forever hold your peace. Motion to adjourn the public hearing. Public hearing adjourned. Regular meeting called to order. Roll call, please.
Councilman Gann.
Here.
Councilman McBride.
Here.
Councilman Harrell.
Here.
Councilman Stamey.
Here.
Councilman Hatmaker.
Here.
Councilman Farrell. Mayor Burke.
Here. Do I hear a motion for the approval of the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. The prayer this evening will be given by Councilman McBride. I'd like to have a moment of silence for a good Clintonian that passed away a few days ago, Nadine Underwood. Very active, her and her husband, very active in the community, long-standing with the Anderson County Fair, and one that will certainly be missed.
Let us pray. Our Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for your blessings. We thank you for the provisions you've given us this day. Thank you for the opportunity to serve. I pray that you would be with this council tonight, that we would do things that are pleasing to you. I pray, God, for the Underwood family. I pray your blessings upon them and comfort for them during this time. I pray for protection for our city staff and employees, and I thank you for them and for what they do each day. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, Jim. Do I hear a motion for the review and approval of the minutes of the previous meeting dated May 24th, 2021?
So moved. Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. At this time, we'll recognize any grievances from city, I guess citizens in the city. Or if you want to throw a praise out too, we'll take those. Anyone? Okay. Communications from the mayor. I have a couple of board appointments I need to go over. First of all, I'd like to reappoint Steve Clapp to CUB. His term will end July 1st, 2025. Hear a motion for approval?
So moved. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. On Port Authority, Barry Hutchins informed me last week he would like to come off the Clinton Port Authority. Certainly appreciate him serving in that capacity. I'd like to appoint Curtis Isbell to fill the remaining term for Port Authority ending February. Wait a minute. Yes, is already ended 2021. So his term will end February of 2031. Hear a motion for approval?
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. The Community Relations Committee, that whole committee, their term is up. I'd like to reappoint them to a 2-year term, term ending December 31st, 2022. I'd like to reappoint Barry Hutchins, Steve Combs, Molly Scarborough, Roger Fletcher, Cindy Gillum, and Joe Roberts. Hear a motion for approval? All right, hear a motion for approval?
So moved. Second.
Motion is second. Any further discussion?
Is that committee, what does that committee do? I'm just
I have no
curious.
idea. I don't think they've ever, this is one of those committees that,
So I mean,
we have a few of those. Sometimes you have to form
are we
committees.
required by state to get grants
I
and
think,
things?
the grant that we received, we had to set up this committee, and I don't know how many years ago that was. But a lot of times you have to set up these committees because of the grant.
Okay.
So, but I don't know if I don't think they've met since we've been here. But they're ready at a moment's notice.
We got him on hold.
Yeah, we got them on hold, stand by.
Gee, wait, no.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Also, I was informed by Library Board that Catherine Smith has moved to Michigan. Those Michigan people are moving here. I don't know, they're going back. But I'd like to, based on the recommendation of the Library Board, I'd like to appoint Jess Ann Cole to fill the remainder of that term ending June 30th, 2023. Hear a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second?
Motion is second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Under the Anderson County Tourism Council Advisory Board, I'd like to reappoint Jason Brown, term ending June 30th, 2022. Hear a motion for approval?
Absolutely.
Have a motion.
You can't get second.
I'll second.
Motion is second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. And that is all I have.
Just gonna tell her quick, because I figured there'd be a lot of people wanting that.
That one meets.
Yeah. City School Board report, Scott?
I'll try to be brief, but it's the largest budget amendment I've ever given to y'all, so I'll just give you kind of the airplane view. We've gotten a lot of federal money that's come our way, and we have 3 years to spend it. There's a lot of stipulations to how and what we can spend it on, so we've had to change what we do, and that is reflected in this budget amendment to finish up the year. The biggest issue we've had to deal with is the federal funding that also comes with the Davis-Bacon Act and how we can spend some money for contracts. So that takes probably about half the budget amendment. The other half is the summer camps that are required by the state of Tennessee. This is year 1 of 3 that we're required to do these, so we've basically not shut down North Clinton Elementary School yet. We've just picked up and kept going. Our last day of summer school is July 2nd. So there is state and federal funding that goes with that summer school, so it's a funded mandate. And those expenditures and the related revenues are in this budget amendment as well. So if I can entertain any specific questions you have.
Any questions for Scott? It's budget amendment number 5, correct?
Yes.
Here, a motion to approve budget amendment number 5.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Any further discussion? I'm sure some of that money you're moving around is the same position we're in too. We've got some money, we really just don't know. We haven't gotten a clear path as far as how to spend it, so I think
Yeah,
it's,
there is some guidance that we're still
Yeah.
waiting on, so.
yeah.
I think Ms. Johnson's got some ESSER money she's got to decide how to spend.
That's the lion's share of the money I was talking about, sure.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilman Gann?
Yes.
Councilman McBride?
Yes.
Councilman Harrell?
Yes.
Councilman Stamey?
Yes.
Councilman Hatmaker?
Yes.
Councilman Fair?
Yes.
Mayor Burton?
Yes, amendment number 5 passes.
Thank you.
Thanks, Scott. Clinton Regional Planning Commission report, Councilman Gann.
The Board of Zoning Appeals had a special call meeting on May 13th. This was in regards to what we would call the Darty Building. And this was to really reaffirm that what we have done is an administrative review, which was needed in order for the developer to secure financing and proceed. There are still a number of steps and hoops that are going to have to be done. And we were talking about the development of this building. It will include 42 units, and one of the things we had talked about that I think came up at our last special meeting, at that time we were told there would be approximately 1,000 square feet of retail space on the main level. So this is so that they can, as I understand it, I'm trying to remember what it is, some 538 loan program is how they're hoping to finance that. But this was really just to kind of clear some guidelines to make sure that everybody knew where we were. There's still preliminary site plans and final site plans and a lot of that to go. But this was needed to clear the deck so he could get the money.
No, that's my understanding. Those are the last 2 steps to go.
Yeah, those are
Not
the last.
Not anymore.
Yeah,
Okay.
so there's.
And we just found out kind of through the process it doesn't even come back to us.
Yeah.
As a council.
Larry,
just-
does it show there how many single, the gentleman that spoke to us said that if there's a lot of single studios, that can lend itself to issues.
I'm thinking there was, was it 10 or 11?
Something like that. We have been, I don't think, let's see if we have it here. I don't think we have the number here. We've talked about it. There's some, I think, some studios and some single bedrooms. But I don't think it I don't think it goes over 10. Do you remember, Roger?
It was 11.
11?
It was 11 too.
Yeah.
So they are doing retail?
That's what they've told us, because we wanted to keep a front that had a retail, at least a retail facade. Maybe a coffee shop, maybe a beauty shop.
So what happens if they don't do retail?
Well, that's probably for review when they come back to us.
Well, where they're looking at doing it though, Jim, is, as you know, how that stores, you kind of go in and then get the entrance.
Yeah.
Where that part you go in, where that glass is right there, that's gonna be the 2 retail. It's gonna be 500 feet on both sides.
Like on both sides?
Yeah, yeah. So really, you
That's
think
their
about it, they can
plans.
develop that anyway into any type of apartment or anything.
Couldn't do housing there.
Does anybody remember what the gentleman told us about retail on the bottom, what that allows them to do as far, didn't that change percentages on?
If we had an industrial development board, then it would force them to come get
To us.
through us, but we don't, so.
This is going to be obviously a very complicated thing as we go through the hoops and everything. And
Again,
then
there's some concerns in town with the parking. I know we've talked about that and the grants that the city got years ago. Still the concern with parking, end up over the bank or up the top of the parking lot.
it's going to be, as my understanding is, public parking, wherever they can find a park that is a public parking area.
Roger's worked with some company that kind of redesigned that side of the parking lot, and we factor in what they've asked for and what additional ones we found, we being Roger, we lost 30. And that's just 30.
Okay.
And, you know, I say it every time, and I know people get tired of hearing me say it. I'd like to have a parking problem. I think that's gonna be a good thing. You know, we have plenty of parking right now. And, you know, we've come out with some other solutions. I've even offered, you know, for example, is the church I go to is Memorial Methodist. Across from there, we have a parking spot. We have a big parking space, probably 40 cars could park there. You know, and I think my church would be very open to having some agreement with the city to use that parking for public use outside of Sundays. So I think there's some out-of-box thinking we could look at. I know there's parking, we found some parking on the street on Cullum, under the bridge. The city has some property there, so I don't think parking is going to be the issue. If it is, then it'd be a good problem we need to address.
Mr. Howard, could you explain the grant that the city got many years ago? What stipulations did it have with it as far as can't reserve parking there?
Well, it's pretty much like any other grants that we get. There's a use of limitations on it, and a lot of times you can't dedicate, you know, once we've done either for the parks or any of the areas, once they're dedicated for public use, you can't privatize them. So that would be the same thing, you know, that back in the 60s and 70s, it was some urban renewal money that was used for some of that area. So that's why we couldn't dedicate it for a dedicated private use.
Mr. Gann, since we're taking this up at this point, it may not be germane to your committee, but I think we need to really think about parking, though. It doesn't appear that we have a parking crisis at the moment, right? But if this development happens, I think we really need to be intentional about parking. You know, they leave vehicles there for months on end, they don't move them. I mean, I'm just thinking, while it is public parking, we need to do some best thinking around what some other cities have done, what's worked, what hasn't worked, and so we can be smart and be ahead of the problem. Because while I know what you're saying, Mayor, you know, it would be nice. You're not saying that parking, not having parking is a good thing. You're saying the demand for parking would be a good thing because that means that we are having economical growth and people are, you know, vibrant downtown. But I think we need to be in front of that because when it becomes a problem, we want to be in front of it instead of behind it.
I think we probably need to take a look at the ordinance where you don't want, if they do become apartments, you don't want residents parking boats or motor homes or campers and stuff like that, leaving them there overnight. I think if it's, or like you said, for weeks or months, if it's, you know, vehicles for 24, 48, 72 hours parking would probably be legit. So we could probably take a look at our parking ordinance for our parking lots.
And since we're talking about it at this moment, does anybody know if they have any tax abatements approved already by an industrial development board?
As far as I know, they do not.
Okay, that was my understanding. Thank you.
Do you have more to your report? I'm sorry, I kind of jumped in there. Do you have anything else?
Oh, yeah, we've got the regular,
Okay,
that was
okay, I'm sorry.
especially called, yeah, we've got, I'm sure Mr. McGrew wants to hear about this one. Deferred business, and we're combining two here. I-75 Industrial Group, Series 3 LLC requesting rezoning from B2 to M2 for property located at 151 Frank L. Diggs Drive. And might as well connect with that, industrial group requesting annexation and M2 zoning assignment for property located at Sinking Springs Road. The property is zoned C1. This is the same group. The area is consistent with what's already going on there, so the Planning Commission really didn't have any trouble with that. In fact, it's an expansion of existing businesses. There's been a donut hole there of, I guess you could say, annexation that this will help to remedy. There are still some pieces, my understanding is, to fall, but that will solidify this.
So I know the general area that this is in, but what is this? What specifically is this?
What business?
That's in the industrial park up there. It's on the left as you go down through there. It's on the left. It's across from Southern Fitness and the, okay,
Trying to pull my map up now.
okay.
Any other question on that before I move on?
And that's both number 1 and 2?
Well, it's the same group.
Right.
Sinking Springs is the second one, and again, I think that's one, Mr. Riggs, isn't that where the donut hole is in Sinking Springs, and we're trying to,
Now, is this the one, I mean, the person that's making that request, their property's already M2, correct? And they're expanding their property line
They've
to
actually
M2.
bought one piece that's already
Right.
in
Change the road
rezoning,
behind the
then
gas
another
station.
piece
Yeah,
next
part
to
of
it.
it, right.
Yes.
yeah, there's a lot of moving parts. There will probably be some more, my understanding is there's some more change of property ownership to go. That will solidify a lot of this. Then applicant Kim and John and Kim Mowry requesting rezoning to B2 for property located at 932 South Charles G. Severs Boulevard. This is just on this side of Mariner Point. There used to be a pre-existing house there. And that house has been torn down, and they're wanting to develop that. It is consistent with the area of a mix of commercial and residential. There will be some more commercial involved with that, but based upon that, the council or the committee decided, yes, we'll go ahead and do it, give them approval on that.
Now, is that B3?
It will be, yeah, B2. B2. Applicant Dagan Green requesting final plat review for property located at Jason Hovater Way and Daniel Morris Point. This is part of Patriot Place. And this is a kind of a reorganization of the property there. This is to create lots served by a joint permanent easement of city streets. And subject to signature, stormwater, hydrology, JP and SWIP, this was approved by the Planning Commission. Then applicant Margaret Tackett requesting final plat review for property located at 715 Lantana Lane. This is another piece of property in South Clinton that has very small property lines, and this is a correction of the property lines and making the property a little bit more stable in what we're expecting. This property was annexed years ago and is not in keeping with what we normally have. We've run into a number of those, as we're aware, in South Clinton. And then fourth, applicant Alex McGrew, Bill Airwood, requesting rezoning from B2 to R3 for property located at 104 Holbrook Subdivision Circle. This is on Oak Ridge Highway, almost across from Mariner Point. And it is an 8-apartment complex that will be built there. This is so that they can build all 8 on the same area, and that was approved.
Is that 2 level?
I think it's just 1 level. 1 level. Alex is here. Is it 1 level, Alex?
Trying to remember what the plan looks like. I want to say it's 1 level, but I can't say that for sure. I'm trying to look at it.
You have an entry point just on Holbrook Drive or on Charles Severs?
Entry point will be on Charles Severs. To come off on Holbrook puts it too close to the intersection, so we'll be coming off on the main highway there.
Okay. I'm sure T-Dot's worked with y'all as far as.
There were already 2 existing driveways there for the 2 houses they tore down.
Okay.
So we're taking 2 and I'm gonna make it 1 now. We've had contact with T-Dot about a driveway and get it all approved for the entrance.
So number of places of development there along Oak Ridge Highway.
Mr. Gann, is that one house that remains there, that the electrical, is it still involved in that? or-
No, that one house has been torn down.
No,
Oh, you talking about?
That
So the
one on
Oh,
electrical
the
the
very
last
end.
one's still there.
Yeah, I think it's just
That's a
vacant
different
right
owner.
now. Yeah.
Yeah. We have encouraged that maybe they would like to consolidate all those places and pieces and make it consistent, but I think Mr. McGrew said they haven't been able to work that deal yet.
Are you is this going to be a partnership with you, or are you just doing the surveying?
No, I'm just doing the application for.
Okay. They talk about price point as far as, you can get that far?
Well, like
Okay.
I said, it'll be apartments. I don't know what the rental rate will be.
Okay.
They hadn't mentioned.
I think
We
there's
better be
8 of
8.
them. 8 of them,
8
as
of
I
them.
recall.
Good. Is that it, Larry?
That's
Any
it.
other questions for Mr. Gann?
I got a question, and I don't know that this has happened before, and I'm just curious what happens. If you look at the meeting minutes for Clinton Board of Zoning Appeals, Monday, June 14, talks about how the meeting was called to order, and then it says the meeting minutes of the May 13 were not approved due to several corrections. So what happens there? Do they correct those minutes and bring them to your July meeting?
Those were corrected, and we'll bring them for approval.
In the July meeting?
Right, because there was some wording in there that needed to be adjusted.
Okay,
We have a new board member who is very good at,
okay.
at catching some of that.
So why, I guess back to your question, so why wasn't it approved at that time?
I think they had to check to see exactly how some of the wording had to be, to make sure that we were consistent with our policies and everything.
Okay.
I just hadn't seen that. I mean,
That's the first time we've done it.
Okay.
Since I've really been on the commission, that we've had a correction like that.
Thank you. Any other questions for
Our
Larry?
new board member is very, very conscientious.
Thanks, Larry. Clinton Utilities Board report. Councilman or Vice Mayor Farah.
CUB, we met last Thursday because I was out of town on our regular meeting, and as was the Madam Vice was also out of town. So we passed our budget. I just wanted to highlight some of the year's accomplishments at CUB. Our CUB customers pay less than half of the average cost of water and sewer when we compare with folks in our area. No rate increases in electric, water, sewer. We retired 3 of our bond issues, and our debt-to-customer ratio is the lowest in the valley. CB line losses are less than all other similar situated utilities in the region. Just been real pleased with, Monday's storm rolled through. My lights flickered, and that was it. There was some people that were out of power at the very ends, but they got back on by the morning. And a lot of that's due to the fissure, and I won't go into all that, but that's my report, and you've got the financials if anybody's got any questions.
Councilman, I noticed in Knoxville, they are having a major debate about cable access and everything through the utilities. And I know Mr. Fay and I have talked about that, and he's not necessarily a fan of it.
No, he's adamantly against it.
Are you getting any requests or any?
We've had a request. I know some people on council have approached me and have asked about it. It's just not something that we're going to get involved in. It's not economically. It's just not the cost benefit there is prohibitive, and we currently have cable options, and we have satellite options for most of all of our citizens. So, and we have long-term agreements with Comcast right now that are very beneficial to our ratepayer. So it would be very hard for me to see us doing that without a great cost to the ratepayer. So does that answer?
Yes, that's answered my question.
So that caused me to ask another question, though. We have a relationship with Comcast as a city. What is that relationship? I mean, I've been told before it's kind of an open thing. Anybody can come in and Charter, Spectrum, anybody could come in at one. Is that not true?
No.
State law changed
State.
on that. We must be dictated by the state.
State has.
And if you remember, about 18 months ago, maybe 2 years ago, they came through town and started digging up.
Oh, yeah, I know that. Yeah.
And they didn't tell anybody, didn't coordinate with anybody. We almost
Right.
had a,
Left holes
Well,
in the
that was,
street.
that wasn't Comcast.
That was
though.
AT&T.
That went to the state.
That was the 5G AT&T,
Yeah.
whatever.
but
The state gave them approval on
yeah,
that.
those folks have wide, I guess, these type of companies.
I must have misunderstood them, because one of the things I've had folks complain to me during my tenure has been Comcast, and the cost and the service, and so I've always felt impressed that we didn't have a whole lot to do with that it was free market, and the reason we only have Comcast is because Spectrum or Charter or no one else has ever wanted into this market. That's not true?
That's not true. The state now is in charge of that.
It's always been one, right, Bill?
I think when we came on, there were several, but
Yeah, I think that's
So-
mandated by the state, so, and they have, I'm gonna say monopoly for lack of a better term, but
But do other places have more than one choice? I mean, other municipalities and cities?
I don't think so.
Maybe,
Yeah, they do.
maybe they split them up by market, Jim.
Like I know in Morristown, I mean, of course, they're a utility company. Morristown Utility has it, but then they also have Charter. And Knoxville, is Knoxville only got one provider for the whole?
I think they have charter. I
Well,
think
they
it
may have
depends on
more
where
charter
you are.
Spectrum.
They may have markets within the.
So
But-
Morristown offers access.
Through their
internet
utility
access.
company.
I suspect the state
Optional.
would have to grant.
Yeah, you could pick Morristown
Sections.
Utility, or you can pick Charter.
Yeah, we can get a clarification.
Can't imagine
But
the
that's always
price,
been my
the cost of upgrading that.
Oh, I mean, you're always behind the eight ball, because the minute you get your
I thought that was like
software and
5, 10,
technology and infrastructure, it's out of date. It's
I just know
like
they
us
ripped
buying
it
a
up.
computer or anything else. But I mean, I guess my point is though, so if Comcast, we don't know how long we're gonna have Comcast could start treating people, I mean, we have no jurisdiction, the county has no jurisdiction, or city
I
or
would say
nothing.
you'd have to
Nothing.
register your complaints with the comptroller.
We can find out.
Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of people are disconnecting, and there's other
Because it
options
keeps going
now.
up higher and higher, exactly.
You know, I have a lot of friends that have dropped cable altogether.
Yeah, go to the Rokus
A lot of
and all the
younger
other stuff.
friends.
Yeah.
Lord
Well,
willing.
we're sticking
Yeah.
with Comcast. Don't know how to do anything.
Okay.
I don't know how to do
I thought we, okay,
anything. All right.
thank you.
That's it.
Thanks, Zach. Appreciate it. Any other questions for Zach, by the way, before I move on? Larry, did you want to have any
Just-
other board and committee reports you want to talk about last weekend?
Had a great Juneteenth, along with the postponed MLK breakfast. A number of people there. Established, might mention, we established a scholarship fund in honor of the late director of Green McAdoo, Eugene Gallagher. Fantastic leader and be sorely missed. And then a number of activities on Juneteenth. I had to be in Knoxville, but I haven't had a chance to talk to Adam, but I understand it was well attended and a lot of people and really had a great time.
You went, didn't you, JB?
I went to the breakfast. A couple of my employees were at the rest of the stuff, I think. I mean, probably can't count 1, 2, 3, but Taylor said there's probably close to 1,000 people there that day.
Throughout the day?
Yep.
Yeah, because they had about 8 or 10 different
They had
events.
a good band that evening, some food trucks. So it was pretty
Activity
good for
started
the
at
first.
noon and went all the way till about 10 o'clock
Yeah.
at night. Had shuttle service from down to the football field. I mean, Adam had it well organized and well done.
Yeah.
And I'm sure on Sunday, he probably collapsed.
I think Adam's doing a fantastic job.
He really
from
is
what I can
doing
see.
a fantastic job.
Any other questions for Larry? Thank you, Larry. General Government Report, Mr. Hauk.
Mayor, Waste Connections Incorporated has proposed a change in our collection services which will result in a more efficient and standard operation of collection services. They are proposing to provide each residential and small commercial customer in the city with a 96-gallon cart at no cost to the city. Waste Connections will then change to an automatic side loader truck collection system, which will allow them to eliminate the need for extra personnel, as well as being a safer operation. Waste Connections will offset their investment costs with requesting us to approve an additional 5-year contract extension, which will then expire June 30th, 2029. We will also need it to modify our municipal code relative to trash collection to reflect the change. I would recommend acceptance of the Waste Connection Incorporated contract amended as requested.
Hear a motion for approval?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Discussion?
Yeah, I got, so, I just bought 2 brand-new 96-gallon, garbage cans, and they're a nice green color, and they go well with my house. And so, what if I don't want a blue, rocket ship sitting out in my driveway? Am I forced to use their blue?
Pretty much you are, because it has the handle, the lift on it, because it'll be an automatic that actually picks it up.
Well, I mean, so mine does now. That's the way they load it. The garbage cans I use, they've got a handle, they dump it in. So I'm just out of luck.
My understanding, yes.
Be a good Christmas present.
Uh-huh.
Yard sale.
Well, I'm just wondering, what if our citizens don't want this?
Well, it's one of the big things.
I mean, it seems like it just helps them. I don't know how it helps me.
Well, it does, but it also, a lot of people don't realize that we have an ordinance. You're supposed to have your garbage in a can.
Right.
It's not supposed to be sitting in just a garbage bag, and we have a lot of that. A lot of people don't realize that there's a limit. A lot of times we have people exceed that limit. A lot of times, I mean, we've had people abuse it where they will bring They may have rental houses outside the city, and they'll actually bring their trash in. I mean, I've actually, the previous Public Works Director has seen where we had houses may have 8 or 10 garbage cans out, where they actually abuse it. Knoxville went to this program about 4 years ago. Oak Ridge went to it about a couple months ago on their new contract. It kind of just kind of coordinates and makes the neighborhoods all the same. I mean, it's the same garbage can out for every household. If you drive down, any of the neighborhoods on a trash pickup day, some houses will have just stuff piled out at the mailbox and will be in any garbage can. So it just kind of makes a consistency.
So are they making some exceptions for like holidays, for Christmas, for example? When you got a ton of cardboard and, I know you should recycle, but all that stuff. I'm sorry?
Thanksgiving and Christmas, they will pick up extra.
So that week of your cycle after Christmas and after Thanksgiving, correct?
Yes.
Okay. for that
And then
whole week.
if you're an elderly person or something that can't will it there, there'll be an exception form that you can fill out and send, and they'll make an exception where they'll actually come to your back door and get it for you.
Okay.
So there's an option to have a second one for people like Zach?
I have a lot of trash.
Yes.
But if you want to, you can get
I
us,
think it's the color that's messing.
now it's the color coordination because it matches the shutters on the house. But if you wanted, I think we talked about it before, so if you wanted a second can, is there additional costs outside of the cost of the can?
Yes, you can contract directly with Waste Connections at a monthly rate, and they'll bill you quarterly for any additional over the one we pick up.
Okay. What did we decide about the grass clippings and things like that people usually
Gotta
throw
be in the can.
in the can?
In the can.
$250 a month for the cart and $29.76 for the service for an extra can.
Wow, okay.
That's a quarter.
Well, that's not bad. That's probably what county residents pay if they wanted, that
There you go.
pickup, that service.
So if we said no, and I mean, initially I was for this, and I thought it was a great idea until I started thinking about, wait a second, I already got garbage cans. And so, the more I got thinking about it, it seems like it's making Waste Connections' life better, and I don't know how it's better in our citizens. I mean, some of them I can see that it would, but
Take up a donation.
Well, it just makes it a little, I think to that, I'm not arguing for you or against you, but I think, number one, it's more uniform. I don't know if that's really a benefit, but also it probably keeps our streets look a little cleaner and neater versus having all different types of trash on the road 7 days a week and be more uniform with that just stuff. That's 96 gallon.
That's a
That's
big gallon.
big can. It's a big can.
I've got a
And-
similar can, like Councilman's Farrar's talking about, but mine's 64 gallon, and I thought, golly, if it's 1.5 times this, I've got plenty of space.
Yeah.
So if things are outside the can, they're not gonna pick it up?
They will not pick it
Who's
up.
gonna be in charge of keeping up with that type of fines?
According to the contract, they're gonna notify mine.
Well, they'll notify us
Okay.
if there's issues.
So the extension that we're giving them, the 5 years, does it go up in price?
Probably built in there,
There's a built-in with
each
the,
year, cost of living. or-
Escalate.
Because you gotta think about, to Zach's point, we're saving them a ton of money from a labor, because they can get nobody has to get out of the truck
And an
and finish the
efficiency.
tree.
well,
Exactly.
I think
yeah.
they're
Yes.
purchasing a new truck.
well, that, and we looked, Knoxville did this program 4 or 5 years ago, and they spent, I want to think it's $4 or $5 million on buying the cans. We looked at doing it right after that, and it was going to be almost $500,000 buying the cans in. That's why we didn't do it. So that's why they're now saying they'll buy the cans for us to go to the program. So that's
So
where,
that's a one-time offer, so if somebody breaks a can or wears out 20 years down the road, who's gonna pay for that?
well, it depends on what happens to the can. It could be if it's damaged by or stolen by the property owner, it could be charged to the property owner. But if it's something, a wheel breaks or something like that, they'll take it and repair it.
Call Zach if mine breaks.
You got one of them.
Sometimes somebody
Call
wants to
me.
switch cans.
Spray some
Any
Krylon. Get some Krylon.
Maybe you could get it wrapped like you do vehicles.
yeah.
other questions, concerns?
Well, I'm always hesitant of the unintended consequences, because, I thought this was a great idea until sometime this week I was thinking about it, but is there other unintended consequences to this that we don't see? And just want to be, like what you brought up with, what if the garbage can's damaged? Who's responsible for that? But, I mean,
How much was that garbage can, Larry?
250, I think it's 250 a month and then a quarterly service of 29.76.
No, I see if you had, I wonder how much it is if you had to buy one.
Oh,
You know?
he's probably bought his since I've been in
I'm
business.
not sure, but when we looked at it before, it was gonna be an expense to the
Yeah.
city.
And we actually started this program about a month ago on Market Street, I think about a month ago. And we had a few bugs the first week of where to put them. And the reason we did it there was the same thing. One Sunday morning, trash was, pickups on Monday, went through on a Sunday morning, and trash was everywhere on the street where all the businesses had set it out. So we did this program while the businesses up there now, probably 75% of the businesses can be placed out back, so you know, they're putting their garbage in the rear of the businesses. The ones that can are putting them in the front, and so far it's worked well.
And they have to position them a certain way when they put them out, so they can.
5 years from now, we can, if we don't like it, we can do something different.
I'm sure they'd work with us.
Okay.
You're not gonna be here anyway.
It's a 5-year extension.
They'll work with it. Yeah, I'll come find you.
Any
All
other
right.
questions?
I'm satisfied, I'm for it.
Roll call, please.
Where am I at?
Councilman Gann?
Yes.
Councilman McBride?
Yes.
Councilman Harrell?
Yes.
Councilman Stamey?
Yes.
Councilman Hatmaker?
Yes.
Councilman Fair?
Yes.
Mayor Burton?
Yes, motion passes. You wanna talk about anything else?
That's it? Oh,
Number two.
yeah, I'm good. I was reading now. Traffic signals. We have been working with our traffic engineers, Cannon and Cannon Incorporated, to provide a feasibility study for the installation of additional traffic signals at North Charles G. Severs Boulevard and Doe Run Boulevard and on Hillvale at Tanner Lane. The MUTCD signal warrants are met at each location, and we now need to proceed with the design, bid, and construction phase of the project. Cannon and Cannon has submitted a proposal for the total scope of the necessary engineering services at a total cost of $28,500. Based on our previous discussion, the need to proceed with this project in an expenditure manner, we request authorization to execute the design service contract with Cannon and Cannon.
Hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion is second. Any further discussion?
So when this is the engineering phase?
Yes.
And then when will the actual signal lights, traffic lights go up? I mean, is that, generally speaking, is that a 2 or 3 month later, or?
It depends on what we decide to go with. If
Okay.
we go with just the wire type where they'll hang from, probably 3 months. If we go with the metal mass arms,
Lights up at the interstate?
that could take 6 to 8 months because they don't manufacture them till you order them, so.
Because they're
And that's one thing we've
specific.
asked them to put in the bid. What would be the timetable? Because if it was going to take 8 to 12 months, we would probably go with a quicker one.
And that's on the city's nickel too, to put those signals up, or is there state grant money, or is
You're
that?
gonna ask the county one.
We have approached the county mayor and a couple of the
okay.
county commissioners from up there and our county commissioners to partner with this
Because
project.
the part of that is county.
But
I
it's
mean,
county roads
it's-
coming into the
right,
city, and
exactly.
they are very interested in partnering with us.
In helping us.
Yes, so
Good.
I told them once we got the exact dollar figure, I'd come back to them.
Good, okay.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes.
Thank you. Finance, I'll defer to Gail.
You've got your sales tax report. The city was up again this month, a little over 29%. Year-to-date, almost 14%. County's a little bit ahead of that, so our sales tax continues to grow, so that's a good
The
problem.
last 2 months have been incredible.
Yes, yeah.
Really have.
And with that, we have 2 months remaining, so we, if you notice, our revenues in total we have exceeded our budget in total right now, revenues. So, of course, if you remember, we also downscaled a lot of those revenues in anticipation of COVID, and thankfully that did not come to pass, so we've done very good. With our expenditure still below 100%, we're at 94%. That's including the capital outlay, which is, the big part of that is the new pumper truck. So we've done very well. We've collected about 95.5% of our tax aggregate on property tax. So our collection rate on that has remained very good on that. We've collected almost 100% from the budget standpoint. So if you notice right now, our excess is a little over 1.4 million.
Very strong. All the department heads are all, their eyes are all gleamy right now.
We've got plans.
I'm sure you do. Any questions for Gail, by the way? Thank you, Gail.
Police Department, we have removed the following vehicles from service and recommended that they be declared surplus and placed on GovDeal's website for disposable. 2009 Ford Crown Vic that has a bad transmission, and a 2005 Toyota Xeon that was a seized vehicle.
Hear a motion to approve? Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you. In accordance with Article 5, Section 8 of the City of Clinton Charter, I will request authorization to renew the annual contracts for materials and service for the period of July 1, 2021 through June 30, 2022 for the following companies: Rogers Group Incorporated for asphalt and stone, Duracap Asphalt Paving Company for asphalt, APEC Atlantic Incorporated, Harrison Construction for concrete, Superior Drainage Products for HTPE culvert, Volunteer Highway Supply Incorporated for pavement marking, and Blue Water Industries for stone products.
Hear a motion to approve? Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
That's all I have.
Any questions for Roger? I had one thing here. Let me see if I can remember what. So just going over the projects, the new Green Bridge, still on pace for that. You notice the light posts, even on the other side now, they've put one or two up.
Is that estimated completion date? I know they had applied for an extension back 4 or 5 meetings ago. We were told, is it still August that that's supposed to be ready?
The conversation I had with Lynn, he said the director of TDOT said the bridge will be open in August. Now, that doesn't include the demolition of the old and cleanup of that. But from what he understands is, correct me if I'm wrong, Roger, that Lynn it was told to him that it will be done in August.
Okay.
Now, if that happens or not, I don't know.
We looked at some stuff this morning, but being gone last week, we did not talk about that. I'm not sure. I know they've had some problems with an expansion joint and some stuff, so that's kind of delayed them.
Busted part of it back up.
Yeah, so I'm not sure. We were looking at some issues under the bridge with the new river
What's the
side.
status on that?
Don't know yet. It's, they have some concerns. We have some concerns with elevation of Riverside Drive. They're actually lowering it to get a better clearance of right now it was going to be at 14. They're lowering it a little bit to give us about a 20-foot clearance. And concerned it's going to be a little bit too low.
You say 20?
Yes.
20-foot clearance?
Yes.
So the new bridge is coming down on Riverside closer, so therefore they're digging out of Riverside to gain that, and they want 20 foot between the road and the bottom of the bridge.
They want 6 more foot.
20 total.
Well,
20
yeah.
total, yes. So
Well, that's not bad, is it? 20 feet?
Yeah, but we're
60.
kind of concerned what kind of dip that's going to make.
From 14 to
in it now,
20
so
would be
we're-
60.
we're-
They got 14.
Yeah, but they have a total of 20, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but even the train tracks up, close to the one stop, isn't that like 11 foot or something like
That's
that?
what we're saying. We don't know if 20 won't be a little excessive to make too big of a dip in
I mean,
Riverside.
Oh, I got you.
interstate.
I got you, okay.
Interstates are like 13 and 14, aren't they? Typical overpasses?
Yes.
But they want 20.
Is that the new guideline?
I don't know.
Will they talk to you?
We've been in conversation with them on it.
The overpass, looks like we're moving along probably next
They're
month.
moving good. Lynn, we did get an update today. Rogers Group doing the milling and paving. They should be done by tomorrow. And then that leaves just some painting, putting up some of the railroad fencing that has to go over that. They gave us an estimate, probably about 2.5 weeks. They'll be done with that project.
Good.
So they'll be good.
One thing is, I wish we could have someone talk with TDOT. You see especially the overpass is a good point. The older part, they painted it with that beige color. They call it white. And they want to do that to seal it. But they never maintain it.
Right, that's
And
why
it
it's
looks
moving
like,
my next
it looks
question.
bad, 5 years down the road. And I think one thing Lynn was talking to him about the bridge and the overpass is doing a clear. Well, that wasn't part of the process, the bidding process or whatever, and they said, pretty much from what Lynn told me was, if y'all wanna do it, you gotta go pay for it, and it's some ridiculous number.
$137,000.
Yeah. So,
So what do you do to the other ends of the overpass to make
Well,
it look
what-
good or
what-
look
Well, we
clean?
came to an agreement with Friday that we'll paint on gray instead of that cream color white. And then probably, we did it on the part of the bridge that goes down Riverside. Actually, city crew pressure washed and made a big difference. If we can't get them to do anything, we'll probably try to do some pressure washing just to
Clean
make
it
them
up.
match up. And it did clean up quite a bit down on Riverside.
Roger, I've had some questions about the demo of the old bridge. Did they take that down to, obviously below water level? Will they remove all that, or they push it into the what's the process on,
The term they gave us was they take it to mud, so they'll take it all the way down to.
and haul it off somewhere?
they have to just because it's a waterway.
They said they-
Navigation waterway, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. One thing I wanted to, just going through this list, was the Harbor Drive improvements. That's gonna happen here probably summer, fall.
We had a good meeting a couple weeks ago with 4 of the 6 property owners. One couldn't make the meeting, one lives out of state, and Bill's been working with those 2 to get them. I think he's got one meeting lined up 1st of August with them, so we had a really good meeting to get that project kicked off and moving forward. And I
One thing
think-
I'd like to add on top of that, if we have the money, and we should have the money to do some more paving, I think it's Hillcrest where the radio station is. Is that Hillcrest? There's 2 Hillcrests, I think. But anyway, it's that
I know what
road.
you're talking about.
And the gentleman is very nice to do what he's done thus far. But I'd really ask him if he could finish it, or if we need to finish it as far from a paving standpoint. Because he put the sidewalks in, the curbs. This guy lives there, and it's beautiful, I mean, what he's done. But I've had a couple of complaints, and there's not too many people live on that street. Just it's been dusty and it's dirty, and, they're ready to move on. So maybe we can look at allocating some money when they're doing that, maybe go up there and finish that also.
I had Dwayne updated the paving list. We're still waiting, and the federal government put out a 28-page document, then MTS put out a 35-page document to explain the 28-page document last week on the Rescue Act money. Neither one of them made it any clearer to what we can spend it on. Our comptroller is still telling us just to sit on it till we can get some better clarification. We would still like to be able to take that money and do some of the paving. Essentially, we could finish the paving and still have money.
That'd be good. That's all I had. Any other questions? Thanks, Roger. Good to have you back.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you too, if under these ordinances, resolutions, if you can kind of give an overview of them, or you can, you can delegate someone to do that. Under ordinances and resolutions, first reading, ordinance number 662. This is the fiscal year 2020, 2021 budget amendment. Hear a motion for approval?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Gail, can you kind of talk about that?
We just do this every year. This is just cleaning up where we have basically appropriated money through the year to do the various, mainly capital outlay projects, and then I move money between departments and within the departments on a line item basis to get it to where we are within our spending.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilman Gann?
Yes.
Councilman Bryan?
Yes.
Councilman Harrell?
Yes.
Councilman Stamey?
Yes.
Councilman Hatmaker?
Yes.
Councilman Farah?
Yes.
Mayor Burton?
Yes, ordinance number 662 passes first of the second reading. Ordinance number 663, rezoning R2 to B2, that's South Charles G. Severs Boulevard. Hear a motion for approval?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
This is the donut?
No, this is Kim Mallory's property on South Severs.
Next to Bear Point.
Okay.
Yeah.
So was her intention on that to do some retail up front and
We've not
And
been
residential
given
up top?
Any indication as to what she's planning to do yet.
because I had heard, maybe not necessarily from her, but maybe doing some duplexes on that side. But I don't know if that qualifies for what she's talking about doing.
R2 to B2. Yeah, under B2 it would.
you could ask, but that B2 has a wide range of what you could do.
No
They still,
residential.
I'm sorry?
No residential in B2, it's strictly commercial.
It is?
Yes.
And it's where that old house used to be, right there?
It's been demolished, yeah.
Okay, okay. Any
My
other,
understanding was it was gonna be retail, or, some kind of
Okay.
business.
yeah,
It's not gonna be residential.
okay. Any other questions? Roll call, please.
Councilman Gann?
Yes.
Councilman McBride?
Yes.
Councilman Harrell?
Yes.
Councilman Stamey?
Yes.
Councilman Hatmaker?
Yes.
Councilman Fair?
Yes.
Mayor Burton?
Yes, ordinance number 663 passes on first of two readings. Ordinance number 664, rezoning B2 to R3 on South Charles G. Severs Boulevard. Motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion?
And what is this one?
This is, this is the
Across the
Airwood
street.
Apartments, yeah.
Eight apartment complex.
Any further discussion on that? Does TDOT, Alex, they look at any type of traffic study on the impact? I know it's just 8, but it's just a little more people coming in and out of that pretty busy
They haven't
area.
asked for one. There are times if you have something that's gonna have enough traffic to impact it, they will ask for it at times. We haven't been asked for one yet.
So I don't think they're that concerned with that.
No, and at the planning commission meeting, that was brought up about coming out on the Charles Severs and about what 8 units would do to the traffic. And the only answer I had was that we could also do the same thing, the same amount of space with 8 shopping venues, which would have way more traffic in and out at constant rate than these 8 units.
So there's not going to be any way to get on from Holbrook Drive on there? You have to use the entrances y'all are, they're building?
We use one single entrance coming off
Okay,
Main Highway.
okay, thank you. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilman Gann?
Yes.
Councilman McBride?
Yes.
Councilman Harrell?
Yes.
Councilman Stamey? Councilman Hatmaker?
Yes.
Councilman Fair?
Yes.
Mayor Burton?
Yes, ordinance number 664 passes on first of two readings. Ordinance number 665, rezoning B2 to M2. This is the Frank L. Diggs Drive. This is the donut, right?
This is in front of them.
Front
Front
of
of
the
the
donut.
The next two are donuts.
Okay. Motion, hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilman Gann?
Yes.
Councilman McBride?
Yes.
Councilman Harrell?
Yes.
Councilman Stamey? Councilman Hatmaker?
Yes.
Councilman Fair?
Yes.
Mayor Burton?
Yes, ordinance number 665 passes on first of two readings. Ordinance number 666, it's a little scary, zoning M2 annexation area off Frank L. Diggs Drive. Hear a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilman Gann?
Yes.
Councilman McBride?
Yes.
Councilman Harrell?
Yes.
Councilman Stamey?
Yes.
Councilman Hatmaker?
Yes.
Councilman Fair? Mayor
Yes.
Burton?
Yes, ordinance number 666 passes on first of two readings. Under second and final readings, ordinance number 661, this is for the fiscal year 2021-2022 budget. Hear a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilman Gann?
Yes.
Councilman McBride?
Yes.
Councilman Harrell?
Yes.
Councilman Stamey?
Yes.
Councilman Hatmaker?
Yes.
Councilman Fair?
Yes.
Mayor Burton?
Yes, ordinance number 661 passes on second and final reading. Under resolutions, resolution number 811, this is the fiscal year 2022 nonprofit organizations appropriations. Hear a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? So these pretty much stay the same, didn't they?
Yes.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Councilman Gann?
Yes.
Councilman McBride?
Yes.
Councilman Harrell?
Yes.
Councilman Stamey?
Yes.
Councilman Hatmaker?
Yes.
Councilman Fair?
Yes.
Mayor Burton?
Yes, resolution number 811 passes. Resolution number 812, this is annexation, part of the tax map 43 parcel 122.05 off Frank L. Diggs Drive. Hear a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Any further discussion? What is this one again, Roger?
This was for the annexation of
With
the
the-
powder coat, yeah.
Okay, okay. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilman Gann?
Yes.
Councilman McBride?
Yes.
Councilman Harrell?
Yes.
Councilman Stamey?
Yes.
Councilman Hatmaker?
Yes.
Councilman Fair?
Yes.
Mayor Burton?
Yes, resolution number 812 passes. Resolution number 813, this is the plan of services for annexation area in resolution 812. Motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilman Gann?
Yes.
Councilman McBride?
Yes.
Councilman Harrell?
Yes.
Councilman Stamey?
Yes.
Councilman Hatmaker?
Yes.
Councilman Farron.
Yes.
Mayor Burton.
Yes, resolution number 813 passes. Any old business before us? Under new business, do we need to make a I ask you this every year, do we need to make a motion on this? Do I hear a motion to accept the City of Clinton 911 Emergency Communications District budget for the 2021-2022 fiscal year?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Archie, we're not good and healthy, aren't we?
Oh, yes.
It's a lot of money y'all got. You know you can spend it. You can't take it with you when you retire. All right, all right. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Any other new business before us?
Mr. Mayor, I've got one topic that we talked about at our workshop, and it talked about the city charter and benefits for council members. And one of the things in the charter, Article 6, Section 4, talks about employee benefits for city council. And we talked about this, but I would like to make a motion that the city provide a contribution toward health insurance coverage for council members in the same manner as the retiree program based on the maximum service years.
Second.
Got a motion? I got a motion? A second? Oh, you made the motion.
I made the
Made the
motion.
motion. A second. Any further discussion? Well, what dollar amount is that going to be?
It's currently, it says $450 a month. But as far as the budget goes, it's in the budget. I mean, the money's there. Is that
We
right?
have some excess in, it is not currently budgeted,
Okay,
but there is excess in the proposed budget that will cover it.
that will cover it.
Now, if a person didn't take the city's insurance, though, that money would not be spent,
No, it would
obviously.
not.
But this goes back according to the city charter. And at some point in time, council members removed it, didn't want it,
Got it
didn't
practice.
exercise it, didn't have the money.
Any other discussion? Guys, again, I want to just say my piece on this. I think we're all on here for all the right reasons. And I think it's a privilege to serve on council. It's certainly a privilege as mayor, and I know y'all feel the same way. I look at this as a community service. And, you know, if it's $100, $150, I think that's fine. And to me, and I'm just being honest with you, if I made $600 a month, which I don't know how you divide that by the hour, it'd be hard for me to explain that to somebody that had a question about it, to be honest with you. I think we got to be really careful, like I said last time. I think there's other governments we can look around, and money's the driver as far as who wants to get involved in these type of things. And I don't think sometimes that's not a healthy thing. So, but I respect if whatever y'all vote for, but I will not be accepting insurance on this. And again, we give all our money away anyway. People ask us for different fundraisers, and I enjoy doing that. So, but I just want to say my piece there, and again, whatever we vote as a board, then I'll support that.
Well, we go back years and years, whenever this was, Mr. Riggs might not be able to tell us when it was actually in effect, years back. Now, that council, and with the approval, had enough thought to accept it back then. Now, why it got discontinued, but it stayed in the charter,
It went
understand?
into effect when the charter was updated. Now, just because it's in the charter gives you the authority to pass it. Council can act on that authority and either do it or not do it. And-
So-
And several, 10, 12 years ago, the council in place at the time, or management at the time, decided not to
Do away with it.
give that benefit. But it's strictly council's prerogative to do that.
So it was effective at one time, and some council members actually used it, I guess.
Yes.
Okay, right.
It probably wasn't, healthcare's it's really increased over the last 20 years, so I'm sure it wasn't the benefit that it is today, so. Any other discussion?
I just would say that it's contemplated by our charter. So our Constitution provides that council, and it could actually extend to any other committee that this body deems, is the way I mean, that's not what the motions is, but if you look at the language in the charter, I'm for it because I'm for a faithful rendition of what's in our governing body document.
We'll use us the authorization to do that, not necessarily we have to do that. Yes, ma'am, you'd like to come, approach the podium, speak, please?
Yeah, please.
Just state your name and address. You come to the podium,
This
please?
is not on the matter you're discussing, this is about community action, I emailed with you last
Yeah,
week.
I'll get back with you just a second.
Sure.
I want you, I'm glad you spoke up.
I
Okay,
didn't want you to adjourn before I had a chance to say hi, so.
okay. Any further discussion?
I'll go along with what others have said, since it's, it's in our charter and it's something that applicable to us. I'll vote in favor of it. I won't be accepting it personally. But I think since it's there, $150 is not much anyway. I spend more than that on gas, going to my meetings, but, I think it's an appropriate compensation considering what,
He spent that yesterday.
I think it's an appropriate compensation.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Gann?
Yes.
Councilman McBride?
Yes.
Councilman Harrell?
Yes.
Councilman Stamey?
Yes.
Councilman Hatmaker?
Yes.
Councilman Farah?
Yes.
Mayor Burton?
No. Motion passes. Yes, ma'am, you'd like to come up and introduce yourself?
Yes, thanks, Mayor Burton, and thanks for inviting me to speak today when I emailed you less than a week ago. It wasn't long, but after our last board meeting at Community Action last Tuesday, we discussed it, and the board decided they wanted me to come and sort of give you guys a 3-year-on update. Last time Community Action came and spoke at a city council meeting, at least as far as I understand, was 3 years ago in 2018. And in October, I read the minutes, so that's all I'm pretty sure. And you guys were kind enough to offer us $7,650 at that time, a grant that helped us out definitely in our time of need. As many of you probably are familiar with Community Action, it's right here on Main Street, just across from the courthouse, next to Hoskins and Miss Johnson's General Store, and we help out the low-income community. We were under the stewardship of the legendary Susan Bowling since 1978. She retired, and I have taken over her role as executive director. So I wanted to use this moment to also just introduce myself as a new person here. Although I am from Anderson County, I grew up here in the 80s and 90s, but I left after graduating from Anderson County High School in 1997, and I've been gone for a real long time, and I got real homesick, so it's very nice to be back. I've been 1 year now in the role of executive director at Community Action, and we've done a lot of great things in my short time of breathing some new life into the agency and doing things a little bit differently. We have a website, we have social media, we're out of debt, we have a little cushion on our account, so we're able to do more good with the money that we get from the federal government than we were in years past. There were a few different items I mentioned in the email that I sent out to all of you last week about the things that, I sent out that our IRS debt was paid off, and that our latest private audit, that we have a clean bill of health from a Knoxville firm that did our 2020 private audit, and things are just in general going really well. We are now enjoying better days. However, we do have an issue that I thought that the city could help us with. We have almost $200,000 worth of federal money we could spend in Anderson County on the low-income community, but it has to be CARES related, and we just don't have enough people that are walking in our doors with COVID need that we'll ever be able to spend that money before it expires at the end of 2022. I'm hoping that some of our expiring contract money that is on a reimbursement schedule, so it's not like we have it sitting here, we can claim for it up to that amount. If there would be anything you guys would like to do in the realm of affordable housing, transportation, better employment opportunities, anything that the low income face in Anderson County that is going to be documentable as being as a result of the pandemic, then we would be able to help with the money if you guys have kind of boots on the ground for something like that.
I'd make a recommendation to have an appointment with Roger and Gail, and maybe
Sure.
talk about what we could use from our side.
Great.
I'd also recommend the Housing Authority. Maybe,
Yeah, I was
maybe
talking with them last
and
week,
see
yeah.
what options they could have, because we hate to give money back. So if you can use it, we certainly
Yeah,
appreciate that.
we were trying our hardest to keep every
Yeah.
cent of federal money that's earmarked for
Yeah.
Anderson County in Anderson County, but it is a little bit challenging with the time limits they've given for the CARES funding.
I was going to ask you, back when we gave you the money, of course you weren't there, the agreement was when that paid off all the debt, the IRS, that Ethra would be oversight with
Yes.
community action. Is there any progress being made with that?
So
or-
when I was brought on a year ago, I was told that our number one objective would be to get out of debt and become a solvent, independent agency in order to keep the entire funding that we have earmarked for our low-income population here and not need to become absorbed by a larger sister organization. And that if it was just proving impossible to do so, then we would be discussing becoming part of ETHRA. So my first goal was to not need to become a small division inside of ETHRA, and we accomplished that. And nobody on the current board, and no one on staff, no one who works with us in Nashville thinks that there's anything to be gained from that. We would lose 30% of our funding. It would go just straight off the top to ETHRA in their pocket, and I don't see how we would help our community as well. But I'm open to more thoughts on the matter.
Well, that was just one of the.
That was a topic that was
Topics
brought up
on
when I
on
was
the
brought
agreement.
on, that the agency was in doing such bad shape that it might
Yeah.
seem that the only option would be to sort of strip it down and shove it in a back corner at ETHRA. But fortunately, we have done a lot of good things, and
It
now
sounds
we
like
are
it. Yeah.
independent. We have an excellent accountant here in Clinton's, has entrepreneur Stacy Hauser, runs all our books, and we're doing really well.
It sounds like it.
I'm
It sounds
hoping
like
that
it.
we get a little bit more cushion so that, because running under reimbursement schedule, no matter how much runway we have, if the money is not on the account, we can't send it out into the community and get reimbursed from the federal government. So the bigger the cushion, the more we actually can spend when the opportunity arises and get reimbursed whenever. Sometimes it takes 3 months to get the money back. So we have about that kind of 2.5 month, 3 month runway in front of us now. We're hoping to get it up to like 6, so we just don't even need to check our accounts. We know the money's there, and we're not always running down to zero and kind of waiting to get reimbursed. That's
Anybody
where we
have
are
any-
today.
Anybody have any questions?
I'm happy to answer any questions anybody, or just discuss any thoughts anyone has about community
Thank you for coming to
action.
council, introduce yourself. Sounds like you're doing a very good job.
Thank
and
you.
Thank you for all you do.
Thank you, Mayor Burton.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Anything else?
Since you was the one who brought it up, that's why I was here tonight, was to remind council that we had a previous agreement to go under ETHRA. Now, if you want to release me from my promise, that's fine, because I'm no longer on
board?
on board.
Okay.
So.
Well, I don't speak for council, but I think we should maybe take a wait and see at it and just see how well they do.
I don't think we have a promise anymore. He's not
Yeah,
there, so.
yeah. You're promise free.
Okay, Jim, a year ago, February, you made a comment while I was at a meeting in Nashville about an ad in the newspaper over, I think we were advertising for an auditor. That was paid for by Kathy Stansberry. It's not no community action money was used, because I did the same thing in the Oak Ridge paper several months later.
Thank you, Ron. Anything else? Motion to adjourn?
Yeah,
Oh,
one second. I'm sorry.
How many days?
12.
12 days.
Okay. I want to make an announcement, I guess, from the Clinton City Schools. We had several athletes go to the Junior Olympics qualifications at Hardin Valley, and this is a big deal. There's 2,500 runners there trying to make their way to the Junior Olympics in Houston, Texas. So I'm going to announce the names that Clinton City student athletes. Kinsley Hutchison, who is an All-American from last year, she qualified in the discus and shot put. She will be going to Houston. Adeline Queener, now this young lady, she qualified in the 200 meter, 400 meter, and the 400. I get tired even talking about that one. But she qualified in 3 different events. That's just outstanding for a young lady that young. Haley Webb qualified for the Junior Olympics in shot put. Charlotte Hutchison is another All-American off of last year's team. She qualified in the shot put also. And Katie Ann Dotson, she qualified in the long jump. So we got 5 student athletes from the city schools up here going to Houston. That's pretty amazing. That's 7 in 2 years that we've
That's
gone to the
fantastic.
Junior Olympics. So
Fantastic.
hats off to them.
Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah. Agree. Anything else? Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Means adjourn.